It is 7 p.m. on Monday, August 5th, 2024, and I will call this regular City Council meeting to order. I do want to thank everyone for joining us this evening, and if Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker would lead us in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Peretti cannot be here this evening. I'm looking for a motion to excuse.
Move to excuse.
Second. Okay. It's been moved by Councilmember Whalen and seconded by Councilmember Hall to excuse Councilmember Peretti from tonight's meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 6-0. And then for staff this evening, we have Planning Manager Stallnecker, Director Madden, Interim Finance Director Robeck, Chief Hernandez, and our City Clerk Tricia Summers. Moving on to citizen participation. Just the first one. So the purpose of public comment period at this meeting is for those wishing to address the City Council on any matter. It's not intended for debate or discussion with the public. Please be sure to state your name and address for the record, and we kindly remind you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. We have 2 individuals signed up this evening, and the first one is Susan Johnson.
I've missed you all. Susan Johnson, 2307 8th Avenue, Milton. This weekend, I caught up on the YouTube meetings of the council. I have been unable to attend lately. I'm so glad YouTube is a very valuable resource for citizens. I would just wish to make a few comments. In re to the park ordinance that was passed about inflatables. This topic is timely and important to protect the city against liability issues surrounding inflatable fun houses for kids. In fact, the Washington Post yesterday had a story about a 5-year-old child who was killed because the bouncy house was blown away. I posted this on my Facebook page. I think this is a very important move for the council, is to help this with liability issues and have people be responsible and the company's responsible and not the city. The other part is about the fireworks ordinance. I definitely agree that the city should make the decision prior to next year. In this time of hot weather in July and the dry grass, fireworks are more worried than ever before. I know of a house in Edgewood that displaced a family because of fireworks last year. As the taxpayers, I do not agree to spending tax money to put this issue on a voting ballot. Councilmember White and Strader, I believe, suggested that the item should be on a voting ballot, but that carries the cost. What the city did in the past because of an important issue was on marijuana. And in that time, they elected and committed to a citizen committee, and it was formed. They held workshops, and they gathered information from citizens. A survey was placed on the webpage, and information provided to the city council for determination on an ordinance. Unfortunately, as we know, citizens are very few in participating, but you can't make them participate. In 2020, 360 fires were blamed on fireworks at a loss of $1.3 million in Washington state. Many cities in Washington state have banned them totally. Some allow them on only one day, like July 4th, unincorporated Pierce County. Pierce County bans it in Crystal Mountain, Crest, Greenwater, Joint Base, Lewis McChord, Ruston, Steilacoom, and Tacoma. King County has about 20 cities that have banned them. I read that Edgewood's code allows for the fire marshal and the mayor to issue a temporary order prohibiting the discharge of consumer fireworks when a moisture content level is below a certain rating. File does not permit them on the city property, but does allow them on private property. Personally, I would rather celebrate the holiday with music and dancing in the park and a drone show overhead. Now, on 19th Avenue and Sidewalk, I am so happy about this improvement for our students leaving the schools. As in the past, I would like to ask council members if they see anything missing in the package, please contact the staff the day before of the meeting or that morning to include the item. Our staff is multitasking, work hard, and calling them out is unnecessary. I wish to thank the mayor and her incredible, competent staff for all the work they do in the city. I would like to thank the city council members who come and participate in City of Milton events. You know who you are. Finally, I hope we all turn out tomorrow night to support our police and National Night Out and Milton Days. I'll be there. Bye.
Jacqueline Whalen.
Jacqueline Whalen, Milton, Washington. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. I know it is a privilege. My topics tonight include really the goal that one of you will make a motion to move your council retreat back to council chambers so that it can be recorded for the benefit of the citizenry. So that's my hope that we'll end up with this. Sadly, and I'll discuss the budget retreat last week, no recording, 3 council members unable to attend. They're at a disadvantage, the public's at a disadvantage. The minutes, well, they don't really give you a lot of oomph to what the discussion was. Please record your retreats. They are really valuable discussions, and the public deserves to know. When you look at the minutes for 2023's retreat in March, I was there in its entirety. I can tell you there's a lot missing. A lot of important topics, nuances missing. It's really important. And I understand minutes can be very broad-based and generic and, you know, the 65,000-foot view, but there's a lot of details that have made a difference in the past year. So please, make a motion tonight to move your budget retreat back to council chambers and have it recorded, please. The public gets the agenda for your retreat 2 o'clock this afternoon. I don't know, maybe you all got it earlier, but just to look at one page, can't make really helpful comments in advance. We're not allowed to comment during. If you're not there, you don't know what went on except for what's in the minutes. And as I said earlier, the minutes don't have to be a transcription, so you really don't know everything that's said. On the fireworks issue, I agree. It shouldn't be a ballot measure. It's costly. But what you should know is that when you do decide to go for a ballot measure, there is no requirement for a pro and con committee. You can check the website. And I called the elections office about that. Initiatives on your agenda for the 7th. What's that mean? There's no discussion. Code enforcement, there's no discussion. There's no way you can prepare, and there's no way the citizens can make a helpful comment to even make a decision to go to a place where there isn't enough parking for them to detour their day to come and attend. Please move your meeting back here. Have it recorded. Thank you.
That closes the citizen participation. Moving on to additions and deletions. Are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, starting on page 3 of your packet. I will take a motion to pass.
Anybody? So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember White and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker to pass the consent agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 6-0. Moving on to our next item this evening, it is a proclamation for National Night Out. It's found on page 23 of your packet. I will just read it quickly and then we'll get on to the agenda items. So whereas the National Association of Town Watch, NATW, is sponsoring a unique nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention program on August 6, 2024, entitled National Night Out. And whereas the 40th Annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the City of Milton to join forces with thousands of other communities across the county in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And whereas the City of Milton plays a vital role in assisting the Milton Police Department through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts in Milton and supporting National Night Out 2024 locally. And whereas it is essential that all citizens of the City of Milton be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and the impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in Milton. And whereas police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night program. Now, therefore, I, Shanna Styron Sherrill, Mayor of the City of Milton, Washington, do hereby call upon all citizens of Milton to join the City of Milton in supporting the National Association of Town Watch's 40th Annual National Night Out on August 6, 2024. Furthermore, let it be resolved that I, Shanna Styron Sherrill, Mayor of the City of Milton, Washington, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, August 6, 2024 as National Night Out. So I do hope that all of you will join us tomorrow evening at Faith Family Church up on Milton Way from 5:30 to 7:30. Moving on to public hearings. We do have 2 public hearings this evening. The first one is on page 25 of your packet. It is a public hearing for consideration of vacating a portion of unused right-of-way on Diamond Street. I'm going to turn the floor over to our planning manager for a presentation, and then following her presentation, I will hold the public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. Before you at this point is the hearing, the public hearing portion. It is a requirement of the RCW and of the MMC. The City Council passed a resolution 2024-1974 setting the public hearing for tonight. That is the first step. The property in question is the west of 11th and the south side of Diamond Street. The property owners have petitioned for that right-of-way to be vacated. It is a piece of land, the right-of-way that the northern half was previously vacated back in 2020. So the city does, and at the time, the city had hoped to vacate it back in 2020, and the property owners at the time were not interested. The new owners are. So this portion is simply the public hearing. It will be on the agenda later for discussion.
So I will now open the public hearing at 7:13 p.m. to take public comment on the vacation of portion of Diamond Street. When I call you up, please remember to state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. We have 2 individuals signed up this evening, and the first is Susan Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Susan Johnson, 2307 8th Avenue. Vacations are very important in our city because if we have land that is not being used by the city, it's very nice for a citizen to be able to come in and purchase that land if there's absolutely no use. But the question I have is that we've done vacations in the past, and I wonder if the city can provide a report with the financial reports that would document the requested vacations, ones that have been approved, and the appraised value of each to show what the value of this vacation is, of the money coming in for the city, and where that money may go. That's all I have, but I'm glad. I think this is important for every citizen that has a place near them. There's some roads they thought would come, and they never come, so it allows citizens to expand their properties.
Next is Jacqueline Whalen.
Jacqueline Whalen, Milton, Washington. Just a quick observation. According to the way I interpret the agenda item, the property is being acquired for 82 cents a square foot. If you go to the tax assessor's website, you will see that the land portion of that property, the people that will be benefiting by this and have petitioned for the the vacation, their property's being assessed at like about $22 a square foot, actually a little more. As I ran through the thorough appraiser report, it seems that the discussion from the appraiser's perspective was, well, this is pretty much a substandard lot, there's not much you can do with it, therefore, you know, it's really not worth much at all. And yet, it is a huge value to the property owner. And that's something that perhaps needs to be really looked at, taken into a consideration, because it can make all the difference as to whether a property owner adds another lot, adds another dwelling unit. I mean, there's a lot of benefit there. So I'm hoping that staff can look into street vacations more and see if there's something. As a change, some of you may remember, years ago, Milton didn't even get the full value of an appraised street vacation. It wasn't until Director Afzali looked into street vacations to say, we're leaving money on the table, and that's a disadvantage to the citizens and the city. So that's where we are at this point. Thank you.
Having received all comments, I will close the public hearing at 7:16 p.m. Council, moving on to our second public hearing this evening. It's on page 29 of your packet. The next public hearing is to take comment on the 2024 Comprehensive Plan Update and Future Land Use Map. I will again turn the floor over to Planning Manager Stallnecker for a presentation, and then following her presentation, we will hold the public hearing.
Again, thank you, Mayor and Council. So tonight, as you are aware, we're in the middle of the mandatory update of the Comprehensive Plan and Development Codes under the Growth Management Act. The Planning Commission did make a recommendation of, held a public hearing on May 29th, 2024, and recommended the draft documents to the council on June 12th, 2024. We are not required, the council is not required to hold a public hearing, but it has been our standard procedure for the council to hold a second public hearing for anything that is related to land use. And so that is the public hearing that is tonight. The current draft documents, due to their size, were available via the online portal, or if you asked, we were happy to print them. So tonight is the opportunity for people to officially state comment under the public hearing. The intent is to have further discussion with the council at later meetings. And obviously the commission, or sorry, the city council does often take other future comments prior to making a decision. So there's no set date of when we're adopting this, because I suspect there's still a few more questions and comments, but we wanted to up front, if there was anybody who wanted to, on the record, share anything about the comp plan, have that prior to all of the discussion that the council may have going forward.
So I'll open the public hearing up at 7:18 p.m. to take comment on the 2024 Comprehensive Plan Update and Future Land Map. We do have two individuals this evening. Just a reminder, state your name and address for the record. The first up is Susan Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As part of the planning committee, I'm not here for that, but I want to say, watching our meetings, but also watching the YouTube, again, which I love, I believe Framework has been doing an excellent job for the city, the way they do the research in other equivalent cities to us and presents different ideas to us, because they are trying to take the rules from the state that are requiring the changes in our comprehensive plan. And we, citizens and us, we started too late. The state's been working on these rules for a couple years with the current legislature, and not many people complained. I mean, if we want change, you got to do it there, not here. And the other thing is that these are code changes that we have to accept. We can modify some of our things in the code, and they can define them smaller. But history has shown us that if we do not have the comp plan equivalent to our code, and the code follows the comp plan and everything in it, we lose out. We have no enforcement. So those two documents, and I do believe Framework is really looking at that and will help to say these are the important things that you have to codify. And so we are protected as a city because we've had incidents where we lost, where we had to vote on something because the code didn't have it, but the comp plan had it. Your vision isn't your code. The comp plan is a vision. It doesn't say you have to meet it immediately. You have to follow a good effort to comply with the state, not the county, not the city, but the state's requirements. Thank you.
Next, we have Jacqueline Whalen.
Jacqueline Whalen, Milton, Washington. I wanted to just make a very brief comment and thank council for their attention on the issue of the description of density per future land use designation, the areas on that future land use map. I've asked the question so many times and really haven't gotten an answer on why it is that what is in our comp plan, when it gives a range of numbers for density per acre, it does not specify whether it is net or gross. Net or gross density calculations are based on very different numbers and produce very different results. So I hope that council will continue their attention on this issue, and I hope that we can get more specificity and clarity in the description of the comp plan. My recollection in years past is, we were all done in June. This is an agenda process that's going to take us time, and I think we're going to have several meetings at the Planning Commission level so that we can work to get a zoning code to you all that supports the comprehensive plan, which, as the earlier commenter mentioned, is a big deal if there's gaps between the message between those two documents. So I'll leave it at that and say thank you for your time.
Having received all comments, I will now close the public hearing at 7:22 p.m. Council, we have 3 items this evening. The first one is on 31 of your packet. It is a Public Works contract number 191 with CPM Development Corporation. I will turn the floor over to Director Madden, and then following his review, I will need a motion to open up the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, this is an action item tonight that does have expenditures that have been budgeted in Fund 310. The issue before you tonight is the City of Milton advertised bids for the construction of the Milton Way and Porter Way project overlay. We received 6 total proposals. Of those, the lowest proposal is the CPM Development Corporation, DBA Icon Materials. This is a public works contract. It consists of furnishing all necessary labor, materials, equipment, tools for resurfacing Milton Way from Oak Street to approximately 2,600 lineal feet to the east to Juniper Street, and also from Porter Way, on Porter Way, from Fife to Milton Way. Improvements include removal and reconstruction of limited pavement areas, pavement planning, asphalt paving, replacement of ADA deficient curb ramps, traffic signal loops that will be impacted by the overlay process, pavement markings, and traffic control. Funds for this project have been awarded through the grant for the Washington State Transportation Improvement Board at 84.4%. Milton's contribution is 15.6% of the overall construction funds. Recommended action tonight is moved to authorize the mayor to execute the Public Works contract number 191 with CPM Development Corporation, DBA Icon Materials for Milton Way, Porter Way Overlay Project for an amount not to exceed $498,620.04.
Someone like to make a motion? Councilmember Cedar?
I move to authorize the mayor to execute the Public Works contract number 191 with CPN Development Corporation, doing business as Icon Materials for Milton Way and Porter Way Overlay Project for an amount not to exceed $498,620.04.
It's been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Councilmember Hall to authorize the mayor to execute the Public Works Contract Number 191 with CPM Development Corporation, DBA Icon Materials for Milton Way and Porter Way Overlay Project for an amount not to exceed $498,620.04. Councilmember Cedar, do you want to speak to your motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Director Madden, just had a couple questions about the improvements we might see, specifically the crosswalks at 15th and 11th across Milton Way. Are those going to be reinstalled in the same state, or will there be any improvements for safety there?
At Oak Street and Milton Way, that configuration will stay the way it is, but it'll be replaced as is. Up on 15th, there are ramp improvements that will widen ramps, reduce slope, cross slope, and make them ADA compliant.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that one's not ADA compliant right now. Will the crossing still be on the upper side of 15th?
Yes, the design documents do not change the overall pedestrian movement.
And with the replacement of curb, kind of the curb cuts or curb ramps all along Milton Way there, I assume that'll be on both sides now?
The curb work, it will only occur adjacent to the ADA ramp work for concrete. Otherwise, they saw cut and it is just directly asphalt work.
So the north side of the street will still remain uncurbed?
Correct.
That's all the questions I have right now. Thanks.
Councilmember Hall, did you want to speak to your second? Did you want to speak to your second?
Anytime we can get grants to get this completed, it's amazing for Milton. And I appreciate all the hard work that this went into. And I know how difficult grants can be to find and then to follow through, so thank you.
Any, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. I know you said it, but could you say it again? So the city's responsibility is how much?
City's responsibility is 15.6%
Okay,
of the overall project cost.
okay, but did you say, you said the amount though too, correct?
TIB will fund $511,000 of the total project cost. The city's funding percentage of the 15.6 totals $94,215. So
I like that.
$500,000
Yeah.
of TIB funds.
I like that grant.
Yes.
Keep that up. How long will it take for them to get that done?
We are scheduled to start this work late September, early October, and we're projecting a 2-week project. These road improvement projects are very fast when it comes to asphalt.
Okay.
The majority of the time, that first week, we'll be prepping ADA ramps, doing concrete work, and then the overall asphalt work and impacts will be approximately a week.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Councilmember Whalen and then Councilmember Strader.
Thank you, Mayor. Kind of details that you can't see on the map like it presently is. There's line of sight issues going along Milton Way, especially as you get to the corner, well, Juniper, and the turn that it takes, and the placement of the sidewalk, and the accumulation of what I think is in the right-of-way, brush and so forth. Is there clearing to be done in there? Is there line-of-sight improvements to be taking place? Does the sidewalk stay at the curb in the street, or does the sidewalk get moved away from the curb somewhat with what we prefer to be a planting strip and so forth? What changes, physical land changes in that corner will take place under this construction?
So overlay projects are typically deemed a maintenance effort or deferred maintenance effort. And so what that means is there is not a significant amount of grading work, concrete, or disturbance of unimproved soils. And that is a fancy way to say that those curb lines are not going to change as part of this project. Anything that happens outside of the curb along that curve where Juniper and Milton Way connect will be an effort that is either going to be completed through a traffic calming exercise and project that is separate to this, or operational expense for vegetation management. which we will do at the same time.
So basically, no line of sight improvements work in conjunction with this work.
Not as part of this project as far as reconfiguring curb location.
A little disappointed with that, but I understand the constraints of this. But that line of sight issue that we have is very important for probably one of the most problematic areas, guardrails and so forth. We've had a lot of issues. We've even had a death, I believe, the last time in the particular area, because the line of sight is part of the problem. And it would be nice to have that, it would be nice to have that done at this particular time also. So
Understood.
it's a little disappointing, but it's understood.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Strader?
Can you tell us when the last time this section of road had the overlay done?
I do not have a date in front of me, council member, but we could provide a follow-up email, and I believe it was, I want to say 2005 or 2006, but I can clarify. Approximately, typically 15 to 20 years on an overlay is a good use of funds and is what is expected.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's all I need is a ballpark.
Okay.
Any other questions from council? Councilmember Whalen?
Well, not particularly a question, but just a statement. Milton Way used to be 514 State Highway. You've got 516, you've got 512 up by the SeaTac Airport. You got 516 in the Valley, and at one time that was 514. And it's probably not been improved since that change. So we're going back many, many years to where we're the line of sight. The improvements on Milton Way is wonderful, but it stops and it doesn't follow through. As soon as you get to the housing, there's no curb, you might say. Well, there's curb, but the sidewalk is right against the curb, and we've never corrected that. So in doing that, it's been many, many years that it has been a problematic corner, and the state didn't take care of anything. The county didn't fix that when it was a county road, and then it was gifted to the city of Milton, and we've not been able to. So I think the effort needs to be really focused on improving that area. The line of sight issue has been recently taken care of, but that's only one line of sight issue. So take your time and ride up the road and see where you can place it in your priorities in your mind as to having something corrected for the benefit of the citizens. That's why I brought the subject matter up. Thank you.
Councilmember Hall?
When was this going to be completed? Do you have a approximate?
October of this year, 2024.
October. So how are we going to go around as far as the schools go? Because all the buses use Milton Way to get up and down
Right. We will do half of the road at a time, and we'll flag.
a flag. Okay.
There will be impacts. We'll also reach out to the school district prior to this and see if they would like to do a reroute.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Any other questions or comments from council? This is an action item. Are there any comments from the audience? Okay. It's been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Councilmember Hall to authorize the mayor to execute the Public Works Contract Number 191 with CPM Development Corporation, DBA Icon Materials, for Milton Way and Porter Way overlay project for an amount not to exceed $498,620.04. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 6-0. Council, moving on to our next item. It's on page 47 of your packet. It is an amendment for the professional services agreement with Gray & Osborne. I'm going to turn the floor back over to Director Madden, and then following his review, I will need a motion to open up the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The item before you tonight is an amendment number 1 for professional service agreements with Gray & Osborne. Professional service agreement with Gray & Osborne was executed on April 4th of 2024. They provided engineering services for design and bidding of the Milton Way Porter Way Overlay TIB project. This amendment will provide for construction management services, pre-construction services, submittal reviews, request for information, field observation, inspection during construction of the project. This is a project that will be funded by both TIB and local funds at the previous percentages of 84.4 for the TIB fund and 15.6 for local funds.
I can get a motion to open up the floor. Councilmember Cedar?
I move to authorize the mayor to execute Amendment 1 to the professional services agreement with Gray and Osborne, Inc. for construction management services on the Milton Way and Porterway Overlay TIB project in an amount not to exceed $50,780.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker to authorize the mayor to execute Amendment Number 1 to the professional services agreement with Gray and Osborne, Inc. for construction management services on the Milton Way and Porterway Overlay TIB project in an amount not to exceed $50,780. Councilmember Cedar, did you want to speak to your motion?
No thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Just, I think I know the answer to this. So they will be doing the project management of overseeing of this project, I would assume?
Correct.
Okay. And boy, it's amazing how much just management can cost on a project. I read that and went, wow.
It is. Typically, you would like your engineer of record to be the one that is the inspector on site and doing CM work. If this is in a future year where our internal project manager has been more comfortable and taken on a couple of these smaller projects, we would turn that over internally. But due to the time of year and wanting to complete this before the paving window closes, this was the best way forward that staff felt to proceed with CM services at this time.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Councilmember Whalen?
Well, thank you very much. And, just a question. If we did have an engineer on staff who could dedicate time to this, how much assistance would Gray and Osborne have to give a good engineer on staff? What's the difference?
Yeah, it all depends on workload. And the city engineer would definitely play a role in inspection services. But it really depends on what their background is in civil and pavement restoration. Not all engineers have the same skill set, and so this work, it's hard to say what the percentage would be in-house versus out. I think a 60-40 split is ideal, 60 to 70 in-house with a 40 to 30% contracted amount.
And if I remember a little bit from the last 20 years, we generally have had the preference for a city engineer to have a lot of insight into road work because it is very expensive and we have contracted a lot of that work out to a separate organization. Thankfully, Gray and Osborne is still with us. I've got stories about Gray and Osborne from 20 years, and I think they've done us a very good job. But I think our lack of a city engineer at this time, or even in the future, will minimize, to a degree, the expenses we give to Gray and Osborne to do work we could do in-house. So that's kind of a salesmanship thing to go back to a city engineer to help mitigate these things. But I agree with this service agreement as written.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. It is an action item. Are there any comments from the audience? Okay. It's been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker to authorize the mayor to execute Amendment Number 7 to the professional services agreement with Gray and Osborne, Inc. for construction management services on the Milton Way and Porterway Overlay TIB project in an amount not to exceed $50,780. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 6-0. Moving on to our last item this evening, it's on page 69 of your packet. It is a discussion item only. It is regarding the ordinance 2088-24 for the vacation of a portion of Diamond Street. I will turn the floor over to our planning manager, and then following her review, we will open up the floor for discussion.
Thank you. This serves as the first read of the ordinance 2088-24. As previously stated, we have followed the guidelines and requirements of both the RCW and MMC 12.06. The owners of the property petitioned the city for the vacation. They have submitted the assessment as well as paid the fee. I do think it would be helpful, based on some of the questions that were raised, to add some additional information. This petition did take place after a conversation with the city. They were coming in for something else, and we had pointed out to them that the previous half of that street had been vacated, and that if they were interested in petitioning to vacate their half, that the city would support that. From staff's perspective, there is some benefits to being able to vacate this portion, as it is a half right-of-way and not a full right-of-way. It removes the city's responsibility for maintenance and upkeep. If there was ever any overgrown issues or stuff dumped in that, currently it's the city's responsibility for maintenance and cleanup. We are receiving a payment for that property. It also makes people very confused when they're looking at developing property, thinking they can punch through and use that half road, but it's not wide enough for a street, so it has caused some confusion with some prospective property developers on some stuff on the other end of Diamond Street. And we also do acknowledge that the city is able to maintain our easements. So while the petitioners are gaining that property, they won't be able to build on it or anything due to those easements. So I just feel like those are some information to help see why staff feels that this would be a good opportunity for, I guess you'd say, a kind of a win-win for both parties. So that being said, be happy to answer any further questions. It will be back on the August 19th agenda for action.
Are there any questions for Planning Manager Stalnecker? Councilmember Whalen?
Well, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. The question being, if we refer back to the map, this is the third parcel in this particular area to connect it to the two in blue, basically. And we have right-of-way across that property, which means a permanent structure could not be built on it. We have right-of-way on those three parcels.
So the two blue parcels are no longer city right-of-way. They were sold to the properties, or they were vacated back to the properties to the north. So the blue is no longer right-of-way. The orange is what we are currently vacating, but we would retain easements. So if the utilities needed, they would be able to access, which would prevent building on it, but it would no longer be right-of-way.
I'm checking my memory because if my memory is correct, and I can't find any documentation about the two other, to the north of the property we're speaking about. I thought we still had an easement on that,
Yes, we do still have easements on those as well,
on those as well.
for utilities.
For utilities, and that's what I meant. It remains an open piece of property because for utilities, it's overhead and or underground. There's just two ways to go. So it won't have a permanent structure built on that portion, those three portions. The one we're speaking about tonight and the two previous several years ago that we gave up the right-of-way on. Well, you see, when they say give up the right-of-way, we still have a restricted right-of-way, for easements.
We maintain easements, so yes, for utilities.
So we would maintain. So this property that we're speaking about is identical in its restrictions, use, so forth, language, as the two others that we did about 8 years ago or 7 years ago.
Yes, it's the same language.
Same thing. So that's what I thought, and I appreciate the information.
Councilmember Strader?
What process did the city use for the estimation of the property, the value?
So the way the code is written is it requires the applicant, the petitioner, to provide an appraisal. So they provided, they pay for and they provide the appraisal. So it is provided by the applicant, and it was done by a, I guess they're certified, licensed home appraiser.
A home appraiser?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilmember Cedar?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for bringing this forward. I think I said some stuff about this last time, but I very much support this. I think it's a good thing for the city to do, particularly after going through a lot of the comprehensive plan and seeing how we want to be encouraging green space. And I hear the concerns that this could lead to development in that area, and I don't think that's a justified concern given what the property looks like and knowing that, you know, obviously we're not selling it to just a specific homeowner. We're giving up control of it forever, but being familiar with the homeowner, who I would note is present in the audience tonight and has listened to this, and they are a staple in the community. They're a staple in that community. I have no concerns with that. Also knowing the owners of the other easements there or the other right-of-ways that were sold. And then to me, the most compelling document in all of this is on page 95 of our packet, which shows the sale price for those things. I think it's a little disingenuous to say that someone should be paying a fair market value for a vacant lot for this strip of land that right now is blackberries and frankly unusable and undesirable and just an eyesore in the community. So I think this is just, it's, you know, I agree with Plan Mentor Stallmecker. It's a win-win for us, so I really see no reason not to do this. And I'll be supporting it later in August.
Any other comments, questions from council? Okay. So this will come back on the 21st, is that 21st? Whatever our next regular meeting is. So 2 Mondays from now, it will come back to council, the 19th, thank you, for approval. So moving on to council reports, Councilmember Whalen.
I don't have anything tonight.
Councilmember Hall.
Just basically, National Night Out's tomorrow night. I'll let Chief elaborate on that. And we have Milton Days coming up. You know, National Night Out for Emerald Corner has been very important. It helped build Emerald Corner. So I appreciate all the work Police Department and Faith Family has done on.
Councilmember Strader.
Just a comment on the comment made by Mrs. Whalen about the council retreat. Is now a proper time to make an motion to move the council retreat back to the city hall?
Sure.
I would like to make so motion.
Well, it's not seconded, so the motion fails.
I'll second it just
Okay.
for discussion.
Just for discussion? Okay. Councilmember Strader, did you want to speak to your motion?
Well, I agree with the fact that the citizens aren't getting a chance to see when this meeting is and when to participate. The late notice on everything, it just seems that how are the citizens supposed to participate if we can't allow them to know when this is going to take place? And the fact that we aren't recording the meetings, that's a concern with me as well.
Councilmember White, did you want to speak to your second?
Yeah, I just had a question. Is it possible to at least audio record it? Or do we just not have the equipment to be able to do that?
Not off-site, no. I mean, you could record with your phone if you wanted to, but I don't know how that will translate. I don't know if we can upload that we can't upload that to our,
Record what?
if you wanted to record it with your phone for your personal, but we don't have a way to
Oh.
upload it to the website.
Okay. Has there been any history of these meetings being recorded
No.
in the past?
not during this administration and not in the previous administration.
Okay.
I mean, I shouldn't say the entire previous administration, but when I started attending the meetings, no, for the previous administration.
Okay, and then just for the public information, what is the thinking of having these meetings offsite?
Yeah. So the council retreats, first, I want to say there, it was not a late notice. It was originally scheduled for April, and it's been on our website for quite some time. As soon as we got a date from council to reschedule, and I do want to thank you all again for letting me reschedule that April meeting due to a family emergency. But the council retreats are really meant for us to sit in a casual setting and collaborate. It's for staff and myself to talk about a plethora of topics that we would either like to bring to council at some point or just get some guidance from all of you on what direction you would like to go to so that we can come a little more prepared to the council meetings. And then that's when a citizen can comment on those topics, is when they come for official approval or discussion. We've done this. This is the 7th year in a row that we've done it this way. The initiative that was brought on by you, Councilmember White, and I think it was seconded by Councilmember Strader. So I sent you information that you provided. We've never given a huge packet. It's just, let's sit and chat about some things, have lunch, gather in a nonchalant setting. It's why the budget retreats are that way. It's not uncommon for other councils. I mean, other councils go to like weekend trips outside of their city. It's not a foreign concept. And I think it's a little unfortunate that a comment would be brought to council tonight when it was scheduled in April and rescheduled for now, and it's been done this way for 7 years and in the same way prior to that. It just flabbergasts me, to be quite honest.
All right, I appreciate the fact that explanation can be given. And I guess I would just, I won't support the motion even though I seconded, but I think that we should look into future meetings having the ability to record them. And I would imagine that equipment like that could be rented perhaps.
It's an expense. I mean, if you guys really want them recorded, we would just do them here. But I think it's nice to get out of the council chambers. In the past, we've done it in the MAC. Council has just liked going over to the MAC versus sitting in here. But if that's something that council would like to discuss at the retreat of recording all meetings, that's up to you guys.
Yeah, and that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just asking if we
Yeah.
could maybe look into it. But I agree that a more casual setting is advantageous.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Councilmember Whalen?
Thank you, Mayor. Having an experience with the city of Milton for a little over 20 years, these meetings have gravitated significantly, and things in the world have changed significantly. We never used to record council and never had cameras and so forth. The world has moved significantly, and I think we need to adjust what we do to fit within the new world, and that would be recording. That would be both audio and video, because we are, as a council, meeting as a body, and it's a little bit in the shadow. I think it's time to bring it out into sunlight. Not this year, forgive me. We've gone now 5 months trying to get this done, and we've not the process similar to what we did last year. Last year, we were physically here, and a member of the public came. The public has been notified. I think it's in the new Milton Connection, but it's a little hard to forecast tomorrow, which I only picked it up today. So it's a little earlier notification, but also with notification saying if you can't make the meeting, watch the video, watch the audio. And I think we're moving into the correct position in doing that for the few from here on out. But I'm being selfish. I've put things off to try to make this Wednesday meeting, and I don't know when it's going to happen again. So I don't think we're breaking the law, any laws. Protocols, let me use that word. But in the future, we want to do something different. And it's a very good thing because we're going to talk council policies, resolutions, initiatives, and so forth. And I think that should be one of the items we speak about this Wednesday. But from here on out, we'll do things differently and include more of the public access in a way that we do for council meetings or other meetings. But I'd like to get this over with. We've tried 5 times, I think, to meet, and things just didn't work out. That's my
And I'll
push on
add,
it.
I'll add, Councilmember Whalen, that it is not required to record council meet. It's not a requirement. So we are not breaking any sort of policy set by the state. I think it's wonderful that we broadcast our meetings, our regular meetings.
Mhm.
I think there's, I don't know, I like getting together at the retreat. I know the previous mayor had fun activities and things like that. We have a long list of things we want to go through, so I didn't schedule anything like that. And there is 10 parking spots. Staff and myself will not be parking at the fire station. We've never had more than, I think, 2 people show up, but if we do, I will personally figure out where for them to park. So that's why I encouraged carpooling, not only because I wanted to have a few extra spaces, it's good for the environment as well. So, Councilmember Cedar and then Councilmember Strader.
Yeah, I'll just weigh in. I don't support moving it back here or recording it or frankly doing anything different than we did last year. Just a few points on that. First, just like the budget retreat, it is the only time where we actually sit around and laugh and act as a group in a way that we don't do in meetings when we're recorded sitting behind the dais. And it's that lack of formality should be something that we have a lot. And we can't all get together at every city event or every outing or every staff gathering. So this is the rare occurrence for us, and I think it is so refreshing. It's a joy to me to get to sit with this council in that setting. So I think that is something that we should not be giving up at all. But further, I think that it's so far removed from the actions we take as council that, we talk to citizens. We all do. We're all elected, and we are beholden every 4 years to the citizens. And we hear from the citizens when we take action, and we take written comment every meeting or via email. But there's got to be somewhere where we can just talk amongst ourselves without having that presence. We are the elected officials. We have a responsibility to have those discussions. And we self-impose a very stringent read of the open meetings rules, where we say we can't even have 4 of us in the same setting, even though the rule only prohibits that if you take actions there or decide things there. But we self-impose a more stringent setting based on the history of the Milton City Council and some problems that used to occur here. So I think we already do above and beyond what we need to. And just to the other point of, that we need to embrace the future, which I appreciate, Councilmember Whalen, but we're not the future. We don't even have hybrid meetings. Every other body that I have joined, we can't even attend if we're not here. It's, we don't need to self-impose that additional tech requirement of bringing offsite recording. So I like what we do. I fully support what we do. I'll probably oppose most changes to that unless they're really, really well reasoned.
Councilmember Strader?
I'd like to amend my motion. I didn't infer that we would change it this year. I was thinking for the future. So with that in mind, and I appreciate all the comments, everybody. I thought it was
Good question.
a good question and answers that I got. So it enlightened me as well. So, thank you.
So I think we still have to take a vote because it is a motion, and then you can vote it down or vote however you want.
Can I rescind the motion?
I don't know. We've never done that. Let me see. Who's our pro for Robert's rules?
Let's just go forward. Let's
Okay,
go
can we
forward.
just vote
Yeah,
and make
yeah,
it
that-
simple? Okay.
yeah, make it simple.
Are there any other comments? Okay. It was moved by Councilmember Strader and seconded by Councilmember White to move the city council retreat to City Hall on Wednesday. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yay.
Failed 1-5. Did you have any other comments, Councilmember Strader? Councilmember Strader, do you have any other comments?
No.
Okay.
That's it.
Councilmember Cedar?
Thanks, Mayor. Just want to say I'm excited for National Night Out. Hope to see some folks out there. It's always a good time up at Faith Family. I think that's all I have this week. Thanks.
Councilmember White?
Nothing further from me.
Okay. Mayor Potem?
I too am looking forward to being at National Night Out. You're not the only one. I always have fun at National Night Out. It's nice to see the people who support the city, support the police officers. And so I enjoy the event. And also, I'm not going to do a double negative. Anyway, I was really proud to hear that they actually selected my daughter to sing the national anthem. So nobody has to guess and go, Whitaker, is they relate? So I might as well admit it that that's my daughter. And you will be very honored with that. I have another event that a few months ago, before I found out she was going to be singing the national anthem, that my son and I were going to go to a men's event. So I'm kind of now hemming and hawing whether, but it's a really good men's event too, though. So, but I am really proud of my daughter that she's going to be singing, because she's fantastic. Well, I may be biased. Yeah. But it will be good.
Awesome. Director reports, Planning Manager Stalnecker?
Just a comment that I know we're moving on to the new events, but the Touch a Truck event, both myself and the permit tech went out and handed out little color sheets and engaged with people. And it's just a great opportunity. That's the value for working for small communities, is that we occasionally, on a rare occasion, get to go be out in the sun and participate in those events. And so it was a great event, and I appreciate the opportunity to allow staff to do that kind of stuff and to get to know the community better. So that's it.
Director Madden?
No comment?
Interim Director Robeck? Chief?
Just a quick update. Greetings, council, mayor, distinguished guests. Come to National Night Out, and we hope to see you there. And the church is going to be doing hot dogs like they did in the previous year. We're going to be doing snow cones. We're going to have some bouncy houses. We're going to have emergency management there. You can meet the new assistant chief if you haven't met him in person and have a personal conversation with him, but we hope to see you there. It's a great event. And we like having that extra interface beyond what we do every day anyways. But just wanted to let you know, staffing, we have 2 vacant positions. One of them was created by the assistant chief ascending, and the other one, assistant chief retiring. So that created 1 patrol vacancy all the way down as the ripple. And then one of the student officers that had been hired when we were fully staffed did not make probation. So we're down to 2 vacancies, plus we have 1 injured, which is Officer Haney, which we have no idea when he'll return. I spoke to him last week. He's still homebound, and he was able to walk 90 feet. But after 90 feet, too much pain, too much swelling, and so it is a very arduous process for his recovery. So we wish him thoughts and prayers for his family as he continues to work through his rehabilitation to get back to work. But at this time, we don't see a return date right away, at least another 6 months or longer. So we continue to keep the eye on that, and our person is still in custody on $250,000 bail, and then our alleged murderer is in custody for still $2 million in the Pierce County Jail. And then tonight, just before I walked over here at about 4 o'clock, we got a call of a female passed out behind the wheel of a car. contacted her. Our canine alerted on the vehicle, so we seized the vehicle. We executed a search warrant within about 45 minutes, and we recovered a large amount of heroin and 2 types. And another one, if you're not familiar with, it's called gunpowder heroin, which is more powerful than regular heroin. And then we recovered large quantities of crystal methamphetamine and fentanyl and a loaded handgun. So again, you see something, say something. This was just someone calling in that they were concerned about a female who was passed out behind the wheel. They probably also noticed that she had a BAC blow and go in the car as well. So anyways, you see something, say something. Can't emphasize how important, again, it is the citizen participation. You're the force multiplier for us. We can't put a police officer in every corner, but if every citizen does their duty and calls and reports and helps us and assists us, then you know what? We've got 8,700 police officers in this city to watch what's going on in the city. So again, can't emphasize the amount of support and what a great job our police officers are doing. And, you know, I stand on the shoulders of giants because these people carry the load every day, day in and day out. And so do you as the citizens. And so again, I can't thank you enough. Keep up the good work. And in the next week, we hope to bring you, next week or the week after that, we'll be bringing you an update for the Puyallup contract so we can continue going forward on the red light camera project. So,
Next week.
yep.
Just a couple of things. I will just put one more plug for National Night Out, Tuesday, 5:30 to 7:30 at Faith Family. And then council retreat, 10 a.m., East Pierce Fire and Rescue. If for any reason you're not able to make it or stay the whole time, I am happy to meet with council members one-on-one or in a group to discuss anything that is relevant. And then I know some of you cannot attend Milton Days, but I need to know who can attend Milton Days as far as the parade. Councilmember Hall, are you going to participate in the parade? Okay. I know you're not here. Councilmember Peretti will not be here for the month of August, but he will be at the retreat. And then anyone else? Whitaker, you're not, you have your men's thing. Okay. Maybe someone can record your daughter singing for you.
Pardon?
Maybe someone can record your daughter for you.
Oh, a lot of people will that we
Yeah.
know.
I'm sure Karate Edge will take care
Well,
of that.
and it's too bad that I didn't find it. We had scheduled going to that, and then I found out what they asked for like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And there was a, really? Yeah. Oh,
Good one?
you're a genius.
Every once in a while, squirrel gets in that.
Do you think you're going to be able to join us, Councilmember White? Yes? Okay. And then Councilmember Strader, do you think you are going to join the parade this year? Okay. And Councilmember Whalen, are you going to be able to join? Maybe?
I do
Okay.
not know my schedule for later. I'm trying to do a lot of things I've put off for this year. Forgive
get
me
it.
for being undecided.
Okay. All right. Well, I will get enough candy for the 4 of us, potentially 5 of us. We'll probably just use, I might have to have a staff member help me drive. Because, I mean, normally Councilmember Peretti handles the driving of the truck, and his friend Dan Frank usually drives it for us, but he's also out of town. So we got to figure out what we're going to do. But we do have our banner. We could just slap on something probably. And then we walk it.
Yeah,
So-
we're gonna walk, right?
Yeah, we walk it. Yeah, and I'll have candy for everyone to hand out. Or you could ride coast your e-bike down the hill, or your bike. Just don't turn it on.
Put a sign on your bike.
Okay, so for those who are participating in the parade, I will send out a reminder of what time to meet on that day. Okay, so seeing that all agenda items have been concluded, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any objection? Seeing none, meeting adjourned at 8:09 PM.